The most effective measure that we did was to apply 100 millimetres of phenolic foam external wall insulation behind a render on these homes, and that reduced the emissions by about 2.7 tonnes. Traditionally, we would have only put 50 millimetres thickness on the homes, but I made the argument we're only going to do this once in the remaining life of the home, so let's go for double the thickness. OK, we don't get double the benefit, but we need to squeeze every little bit out that we can when we're chasing C80 standards. We improved the air tightness. We did pre and post air pressure testing. I'll be honest with you, in the 3 homes we did that in, 2 got better, 1 got slightly worse, so there's a learning point for us there. The insulation was upgraded. The A-rated condensing boiler also made a big difference, about, I think it's 1.7 tonnes. Low energy lighting, A-rated glazing, we had to replace that because with the insulation being added, we wouldn't have been able to open the windows. We put whole house heat recovery ventilation in, which was quite problematic, getting all the duct runs around, so we perhaps wouldn't do that again. And then the solar package, we put 3 metres square of solar thermal panels to preheat hot water and a 1.2 kilowatt peak array of PV on the roof. Now, the sum of all these measures has reduced the carbon emissions by around 6 tonnes. We're now down to 1.6, and we've got an energy performance certificate rating of B, which is, I would suggest, what every home in the country is going to have to get to ultimately. And we've achieved 79% reduction in the CO2 emissions. We had another home which was formerly heated by electricity, and as you're starting off from a more sort of polluting point, we actually achieved an 85% reduction against that one. But we must remember that the government's target is for an 80% reduction from complete household emissions, so including a notional amount for televisions, fridges, freezers, the lot. So, we will have to work more closely with residents on a behavioural change campaign, give them like smart devices, smart meters, and quite possibly, as we've done in these homes, A-rated white goods as well. So you can see a picture of the completed homes there. We couldn't physically get any more solar panel on the roof, and the B rating as well that we've achieved. So some of the statistics about what we've got to do to hit government targets of retrofit are quite mind-blowing. So, I use Homer Simpson's term there, statistics are meaningless, but put a question mark after that. But, in terms of working hours up until 2050, or working days, we've got to be delivering 2,500 retrofits to that sort of standard every day, 333 a working hour, 111 in the time of my presentation. In the southeast alone, we're looking at business potentially £1 million per year. So, this is big business, and there is, huge opportunities here with new jobs and new skills, new supply chains to be created. I'm trying to do some work with a firm of chartered surveyors to try and get the measures capitalised so that estate agents and valuers recognise these improvements. What is an A EPC rating worth to the cost of the home? It should certainly reduce running costs. I don't really buy the idea of paybacks. People say, what's the payback on that? Well, no one asks, what's the payback on a £25,000 new car, do they? And this stuff actually saves you money. So we need this change in mindset. Can help protect against future fuel price increases. By the end of this century, we could see a doubling to about the average of about £2,500 per property. There's health implications, affordable warmth, and keeping people out of hospital. All the other things like natural resources and improved occupant satisfaction. And the big one, as David would be well aware of, is to do with the demolition versus renewal. Perhaps it costs £10,000 to demolish a home. You've got all the locked up carbon and all the materials you've got to dispose of, and then bring new materials onto site. We're a bit obsessed with looking at carbon in use rather than looking at one end of the pipeline to the other, the through life costs and carbon. Some progress being made. I'm pleased to say that I've just completing my home retrofit, and I'm joining the Sustainable Energy Academy's network of approximately 50 homes, the Old Home Super Home campaign, and I'll be opening my home up to the public. I spent quite a lot of money on it, but I've enjoyed doing it, and I've got a good range of technologies included to show people, try and inspire them and advise what they may be able to do in their homes. I'm achieving around an 80% reduction, which is very pleasing for me. I'd like to also say that in the rush to look at energy, we shouldn't forget about water. You know, it's a very precious resource, and in the southeast and London, we are in a water-stressed area. We're abstracting pretty much the same amount of water out of the ground as we get in annual rainfall each year. We're also in this region the highest users of water per capita, you know, around 150 to 160 litres per person per day, of which probably 40% is flushed straight down the toilet, which is rather wasteful. So, you know, we do need to look at water. Probably compulsory metering is going to come in, and, you know, affordable water will become an issue as well. And we've been running a project with the Environment Agency, fitting water efficiency measures incrementally and measuring the benefit, and just a simple device called an eco-beater, which turns an old toilet into a dual flush system, has produced results of being able to cut water use by 20%, so that's pleasing. Our next steps, very pleased to have secured European funding via CEDA, European Regional Development Funding, for a retrofit South East project, and the idea of this is to build capacity for low carbon refurbishment in the region. And we're about 3 months into that project now, and as the centrepiece of that, we're going to be refurbishing a street of 14 homes to an exemplar standard. And we're also going to be doing the normal things of carbon modelling and building networks of refurbishment pioneers and getting in touch with regional policy makers as well. What's absolutely key is training in retrofit skills to small and medium-sized contracting companies. You know, we have got a bit of an issue with skills, and so we need to improve there. And of course, the big thing is all about how we're going to finance this, and we're working with a partner from Europe who formerly worked with the World Bank on devising revolving guarantee funds for retrofit. So we hope that will be successful. And we've also I'm pleased to say, been fortunate enough to be one of the 100 successful applicants on the Technology Strategy Board's Retrofit for Future competition, where there'll be 100 national exemplars. So that concludes my presentation, but it's just to sort of try and show this thing about new build versus retrofits, that the carbon emissions saved by one C80 retrofit, like I've shown you, is equivalent to the carbon emissions you will save from doing 3 Code 6 homes between Code 3 and Code 6. And this is about a third of the cost, you know, so we've really got to focus our attention on the existing housing stock. New build's important, but, you know, this is where the bang for buck is with carbon savings. So thanks very much for your attention.